Hello and welcome to Sonspiration. It's another Sunday and I'm just doing what I love to do, bringing you a powerful message. Sonspiration is inspiration from the Holy Bible. I am a speaker and a Christian, so every Sunday I go into the Holy Bible, pick out a powerful passage, and I just share some inspiration for you to fire you up for the week. This is August. We are in summer, so we're chilled out and we're just going through some parables of Jesus. There is power in storytelling because when you tell a story, people always remember. And I remember growing up when we were told stories where we got some strong lessons from every single time. If you grew up in Nigeria, you know what we call Tales by Moonlight. We used to love watching that every Sunday. But these parables Jesus told, he taught in a way in which people could learn and get a lesson from. So I just decided this August, we're going to just go through the parables of Jesus. Last week we looked at a powerful one. This week we're going to go on to another one. It's quite a short passage in the book of Luke, chapter 8 from verse 4. So I'm going to read it this time around instead of just explaining it to you. Then I will now bring some inspiration as we go. While a large crowd were gathering and people were coming to Jesus from town after town, he told this parable. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell on the path. It was trampled on, and the birds of the air ate it up. Some fell on rock, and when it came up, the plants withered because it had no moisture. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up with it and choked the plants. Still, other seed fell on good soil. It came up and yielded a crop 100 times more than was sown. When he said this, he called out, "He who has ears, let him hear." And if I look at the next passage, it says, his disciples asked him what this parable meant. And Jesus went on to explain to his disciples what this parable meant. For me, I think this is a very, very powerful parable because even as a speaker, you go out and you sow seeds, which is your words, on people every single time. And one key thing and the most important thing for me in every single part I was spoken about, either good soil or the rock or the thorns, one thing that was really solid for me was just that fact, environment. Wherever environment the seed was sown, what creates that good soil is the environment the soil is in. What created the rocks is the environment the rocks are in. For birds, certain birds be in certain areas. There's some areas that hardly have any birds. So it was the environment that brings those birds to those areas. It was the environment that brought the thorns to grow because thorns grow in certain environments. So it was that environment that gave the thorns the ability to grow and they choked the plant. One statement I love so much by Daniel Priestley is environment dictates performance. So if you look at every seed that was sown, the performance of that seed was affected by its environment. First seed was sown on the path. And when you say on the path, I believe maybe as the farmer was making his way to the farm, some seeds actually dropped on the path. And if you drop seeds on the path, people walk up and down paths. They're going to trample on them. That's when the birds are going to come and eat the seeds. So they wouldn't really get any roots to even grow in the first place. So this is people that hear the word. You're listening to me today. You hear the word. But because your mind is like a path, when things of life come around, you just forget completely what you've heard. And you just go back to doing what you were doing before. Some fell on the rock. And the good thing about this was they actually started growing. They started developing roots. Because the thing about plants is sometimes they might find little cracks in the rocks and begin to grow. So you've heard the word, you've heard the good news, but because you couldn't build strong foundations. Because the thing about a rock is it is very hard. There's a limit to how much the seeds can grow on there. And so you actually started growing. You've heard the word. You're actually one step forward than the person that's actually on the path. You've heard the word. You actually started growing. But when you were now tested, because normally whatever you do in life is when the testing comes through, that's when you separate the chaff from the wheat. And so when you get tested and they fell by the wayside. Thirdly was the thorns. Some seeds fell among the thorns. And these seeds actually grew too. So they grew more than the ones that fell on the rocks. But they went to some level. But because they were growing, they were in the wrong environment. Remember environment? And then they got choked by the thorns. You've heard the word, but instead of you to change location, change environment, move away from those with negativity, you stayed there. And they choked away all the information you had. And before you realize, you found yourself back where you were before. Finally, are the ones that fell on good soil. They fell on good soil. And they grew and they multiplied. And for me, that's the part I actually love very much. They fell on good soil. They didn't just grow, but they multiplied into 100-fold. That is good soil. I want to encourage you because you're listening to me today. Maybe this word is falling on your mind, which feels like a path. And you've allowed people to trample over it because they put all their negative information into your head. Or maybe you've been growing, but then you cannot build that strong foundation on the rocks to hold you down. And the tough time came and you went backwards. Or maybe you actually heard it. You actually started making progress, but you have not left that environment. You have not changed your lifestyle. And now those thorns have come and choked you. You can still be good soil. It's never too late. Remember, the ones that landed on good soil, they grew and they were 100-fold. I want to encourage you as you face this week. Are you a sower? Someone that goes out and puts good seed into good ground? Are you a seed? Are you planting yourself in the right things, trying to help others so you can grow 100-fold and touch more lives? Are you a sower? Have you got seeds in your hand that you need to go and put into good soil so they can grow 100-fold and touch more lives in this world? I just want to challenge you today. Are you a sower, or are you the seed, or are you the good soil? Stay blessed. Love you all.